Welcome to the Nordic Venture Show, your speed date with the coolest ventures, brightest founders, and exciting things happening in the Nordics. In this episode, our venture date is with Bluebook, AI for accounting firms.
You know that feeling when there just aren't enough hours in the day? It's practically an occupational hazard in the accounting world, right? But what if you could reclaim a significant chunk of that time? Imagine saving something like, say, 8 hours every single week.
Wow, 8 hours. That figure really does speak to the intensity of the workload in accounting. It really highlights the potential impact of any tech that can genuinely, alleviate some of that pressure.
Absolutely. And that's precisely where our deep dive takes us today. We're diving into Bluebook. It's an AI-powered platform, and it's specifically designed for accounting firms. Think of this as your fast track, maybe, to understanding what this tech is all about, and importantly, why it's sparking so much interest in what's clearly a rapidly changing industry. Our mission today is really to dig into what Bluebook offers and why it might be, essential knowledge for you as you navigate this evolving accounting landscape.
Right. And to get a clear picture, we've looked at information directly from Bluebook's website that includes their About Us page and also their recent blog posts. These sources give us a pretty good foundation, I think, for understanding their mission, the technology they're using, and what their recent developments really signify.
Exactly. You've shared these resources, and we're here basically to synthesize the critical insights. For you, our listener, we want to pull out the key information about how AI is, entering the accounting domain, and what the potential implications are for staying informed and, crucially, efficient. Okay, so let's unpack this. What's the core problem that Bluebook is actually setting out to solve?
Well, Bluebook seems to identify the fundamental issues with a lot of current accounting systems. They see them as being rigid, relying heavily on manual processes, and ultimately just taking up way too much time. Their vision really points towards a future where accounting operations achieve a much, much higher degree of automation.
So it's not just about small improvements then. They're aiming for something more fundamental, a bigger shift.
Precisely. Yeah, they use the term self-driving system, actually, to describe their ambition for accounting. And this isn't just about processing the numbers. It's about a system that develops an actual understanding of transactions, a system that can proactively make informed decisions, maybe guide businesses through complex tax compliance, and even help accounting firms uncover, new ways to provide value to their clients.
Self-driving accounting, that does sound like a concept with some pretty far-reaching implications. So how does Bluebook actually propose to achieve this? What are the specific features, the solutions they're offering?
Okay, so their platform seems built around several core functionalities. The first one, and maybe the most significant, is automation. They really aim to streamline those routine, repetitive tasks that just eat up so much of an accountant's time. They offer intelligent workflows, they say, tailored to accountants' specific needs.
Automation's definitely a hot topic, but can you give us a more concrete sense? Like, what might these automated workflows look like in practice for an accountant using Bluebook?
Well, their materials don't give an exhaustive list, obviously, but we can infer some likely applications. Think about classifying and categorizing transactions, reconciling bank statements with the books, or generating standard financial reports. These are all areas where AI could potentially handle the bulk of the work much faster than humans can manually. For instance, in accounts payable, you could imagine the AI automatically pulling key info from supplier invoices, matching them with POs and receipts, flagging discrepancies. That alone would cut down a huge amount of manual effort.
Okay, yeah, that gives a much clearer picture of the practical side. What other key features are they highlighting?
Another really significant feature is their promise of monthly reviews at 10x speed. What's interesting here is how they describe it. The AI conducting audits of financial records, voucher by voucher.
Voucher by voucher, that's incredibly detailed.
Exactly. That very detailed level allows for, they claim, significantly faster review times and, crucially, greater potential for accuracy. The goal really is to free up substantial time for the accountants so they can then spend more of their expertise on strategic advice for clients, not just checking details. Now, that 10x speed claim is compelling, obviously, but it does raise questions, about how much human oversight is still needed and how firms will actually adapt their review processes to really leverage that speed. Maybe it shifts the focus.
To higher level analysis, perhaps? exception handling instead of checking every single voucher?
That seems likely, yeah. 10 times faster is a dramatic claim after all.
So the AI essentially does the initial super detailed pass through the data.
Precisely. Building right on top of that detailed analysis is their anomaly detection capability. This isn't just about speed. It's about the AI's knack for spotting unusual patterns or outliers in financial data, things that could indicate fraud, errors, or maybe operational inefficiencies. So by proactively flagging these anomalies, Bluebook aims to, well, boost the accuracy of financial records, help ensure compliance, and strengthen overall security. You can imagine how valuable that would be for a firm auditing a client with, like, hundreds of thousands of transactions, potentially flagging weird patterns a human auditor might just skim over.
Yeah, that sounds like a powerful tool. Not just for efficiency, but definitely for risk management, too.
It is. And for businesses handling loads of invoices, Bluebook also offers automated supplier invoice processing. This covers the whole workflow from pulling data off the invoice initially to routing it for approval, managing the whole thing.
Right.
Again, the goal is significantly reducing manual data entry, cutting down the risk of errors associated with that, and just freeing up more admin capacity.
So it's not just analyzing data that's already in the system, but making the input, the capture, and processing more efficient, too.
Exactly. And then there's their AI assistant. They call it grounded research. This is designed to help accountants tackle those complex research questions. You know, the ones that pop up in the tricky, fast-changing areas like accounting principles, tax rules, VAT regulations. The crucial bit here is that the AI is designed to give answers backed up by accurate, reliable citations. That's key for trust.
Reliable citations are definitely important there.
Absolutely. Now, they don't go super deep into the technical side in these materials, but we can guess they're probably using things like natural language processing to understand accounting documents and machine learning models to find the relevant information. The grounded research feature sounds great, but the discussion doesn't really touch on potential biases or maybe the limitations of AI research in such a complex legal field.
That's a fair point. So it's like having a super specialized research assistant on call, but it sounds like its capabilities go beyond just fetching information.
That's a really key point they make. They explicitly state their AI agent isn't just for finding information. It can also execute tasks. It delivers actual results, not just pointers to potential answers.
Interesting. So it's moving beyond being a passive knowledge base to something more actively involved in the workflow itself. Now, we know accounting systems rarely live in a bubble. How does Bluebook actually connect? How does it integrate with the software firms are already using day to day?
Yeah, integration is clearly central to their strategy. They really emphasize their ability to connect with major international accounting software platforms. Everything from solutions used by startups right up to large enterprises with those complex multi-entity ERP systems, also invoice and accounting software for smaller businesses, and even scalable ERP platforms with customizable workflows.
That broad compatibility sounds essential.
It really is. It would be a massive barrier if firms had to completely rip and replace their existing tech stack.
It absolutely would. A major hurdle. Now, beyond these specific features, Bluebook also talks about several underlying principles guiding their development. What stands out to you as particularly important in their sort of philosophy?
Well, one key principle they stress is reliability. They frame it as futuristic yet familiar.
Futuristic yet familiar. I remember seeing that phrase.
Familiar.
Yeah.
It suggests they're aiming for cutting-edge AI, but wrapped in an interface that feels intuitive, not intimidating for accountants.
Yeah.
Trying to lower that barrier to adopting AI.
Makes sense.
They also highlight scalability. They state the platform is designed to adapt to a firm's specific processes, the ever-changing regulations, diverse client needs. They sum it up as scale with confidence.
That ability to adapt to different firm sizes, complexities, regulations, that seems crucial for any solution aiming for wide use.
Totally agree, especially in such a dynamic regulatory environment. And they also reiterate that focus on action over retrieval, underscoring again that the AI is built to actively do things, not just be a library.
Right.
And finally, their principle of real data, real expertise, is pretty noteworthy. They emphasize collaborating with leading accounting firms to constantly refine their AI models, making sure the insights and actions the AI provides are actually grounded in real-world accounting practices and challenges.
That collaboration with established firms, that sounds like a very smart move. Builds trust, ensures relevance.
Definitely strategic. It shows they're listening to the profession.
So who are the people behind Bluebook? Let's dive a bit into the company's founding story.
Sure, Bluebook was founded by Jonathan Anderson, Philip Anderson, and Philip Stahl. What's interesting is their background. It's a blend of expertise from both accounting and artificial intelligence. They describe themselves as a team of engineers, accountants, and builders, people who experience firsthand those frustrations with clunky, outdated tools slowing down accounting firms.
Okay, so it sounds like the platform wasn't just cooked up in a lab somewhere. It actually grew out of a real understanding of the day-to-day headaches accountants face. What was their main motivation then for creating Bluebook?
Their core drive, it seems, was to create a significantly better workspace for accountants, a solution that would go beyond just spitting out information and would actually empower them to make better decisions, execute work more efficiently, more accurately at the end of the day.
Here is Bluebook based. What's their sort of operational environment like?
Their team operates across the Nordics. They talk about a company culture that prioritizes rapid product development, a relentless focus on solving real problems, and, importantly, a deep respect for the accounting profession itself.
The Nordics, often seen as a hub for tech innovation, aren't they?
Yeah, they have that reputation, so it makes sense they'd be operating from that region. Strong tech ecosystem.
And what's Bluebook's overarching vision, their belief about AI's role in accounting's future?
They seem to firmly believe that AI isn't just another tool, like an incremental improvement. They see it as a fundamental transformation for the whole industry. Their big ambition is to build the next generation infrastructure that will underpin accounting practices for years to come. So yeah, not just improving old systems, but envisioning something fundamentally new in how accounting work gets done.
And it sounds like they're actively putting this vision into practice already. The sources you shared indicate they're already working with forward-thinking accounting firms.
That's right, which suggests this isn't just a concept for the future. It's a tangible solution being implemented, being validated right now in real accounting settings. We even have that compelling quote from Mats Johansson, a partner at Baker Tilly Uppsala.
Ah, yes, Baker Tilly.
He describes Bluebook's generative AI as a game changer. He highlights its intuitive nature, its efficiency, its security, and he specifically mentions how it frees up their team from those routine tasks, allowing them to dedicate more time and focus to providing strategic advice to clients. That's a pretty significant endorsement from a major firm.
It certainly is. Hearing positive feedback like that from a player like Baker Tilly definitely adds weight to their claims. Now, you also mentioned some recent activity highlighted in their blog. What were some of the key updates there?
Yeah, their blog shows they're actively engaging with the accounting community in developing the product. There was a post from March 25th this year, 2025, specifically talking about how Baker Tilly member firms are using Bluebook to streamline workflows. So further evidence of practical application.
Right.
And earlier, back on February 13th, 2025, they officially announced the launch of Bluebook itself, sort of their public market entry. Plus, there was the announcement of their $3 million pre-seed funding round led by EQT Ventures.
$3 million pre-seed. Okay.
Yeah, which indicates a strong level of investor confidence in their vision and the tech's potential. Pre-seed funding is usually that very first stage of investment, showing strong early belief.
That funding certainly suggests a promising start, doesn't it? Okay, wow, we've covered a significant amount of ground here. Let's try and synthesize the key takeaways from our deep dive into Bluebook.
Okay, I think the core message really is Bluebook's dedication to using AI for several key things. Automating essential accounting tasks, providing valuable insights, big anomaly detection, those faster monthly reviews, and empowering professionals with that grounded research capability. The overarching goal, as we've discussed, seems to be generating substantial time savings and boosting efficiency for accountants, ultimately enabling them to shift towards more strategic, advisory-focused roles.
So the potential here isn't just about doing the same tasks faster, but about fundamentally reshaping the actual nature of accounting work itself.
Precisely. Yeah, they're envisioning a real shift from mostly manual processes to a much more autonomous accounting landscape, really driven by what AI can do.
And for you, our listener, why should getting a handle on a platform like Bluebook be on your radar right now?
Well, whether you're actively planning for AI integration in your own practice, or maybe you're just trying to understand the bigger transformations happening in the profession, or maybe you're simply curious about how AI is impacting professional services generally, gaining knowledge about platforms like Bluebook is becoming, I think, increasingly vital, just for staying informed and competitive in what's clearly a rapidly evolving industry.
It definitely feels like we're on the edge of a A pretty significant shift in how accounting gets done. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to maybe mull over. Given this potential for AI to manage so many of the routine, time-consuming tasks in accounting, what entirely new strategic roles, what new client advisory services might actually emerge for accounting professionals in the coming years? It's certainly a question worth exploring further, isn't it?
Thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or your favorite app, and connect with us on LinkedIn for more stories and insights.